Our content is presented by BetOnline, which is your number one source for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup playoffs this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game is over, head on over to our online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on all the action. Use promo code BELIEVE. That is BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online. The game starts here.
Guess the starting lineup. This one should be, I think, rather easy too. The one we had last week was Tennessee. We moved through that one pretty quickly because it seemed, other than maybe a couple spots, we felt pretty good about Tennessee. I think Auburn's you're going to feel pretty good about too. And I think, as I like to do, Max, I like to lock in the first guys just to feel like, okay, if we're building around it, let's go ahead and put the locks in there. We know Johni Broome's starting. We know Denver Jones is starting. We know Chad Baker-Mazara is starting. And then I think, it gets interesting from there, but I think you're going to see JP Pegues have an opportunity, even though we talked about Tahaad Pettiford. Looks fantastic in some of the stuff we've seen from him so far. So there's a lot to like there, but you're probably, again, you're talking about a guy who's played a ton of games in Pegues. It's hard to see him probably coming off the bench right away. I think he's going to have a pretty good opportunity there. And again, Bruce also can have the potential to play, several guards here, at a time. And I think that's also an intriguing idea. But, beyond that, I mean, is it as simple as just plugging Chaney Johnson into that 4 spot and saying, there's your lineup? Or what do we think?
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting, because it's like, then do you want to, because you have that we had Miles Kelly at 6'6" also. I've seen some people, start him over a Denver Jones or a Pegues, but I'm like, there's no way. Denver Jones has got to be on that floor. No way. So I've talked to some Auburn fans, and they really like what Chaney brings. They said, I think it was Bruce Pearl that said it last year, that said Chaney Johnson is going to get on the floor based on his work ethic alone, and not even talent or what he can bring basketball-wise, just his motor. So they do like Chaney Johnson. Now, do I think he can step into that Jalen Williams role where you're flirting with all SEC honors and uber efficient offensively? I'm not sure. So I've played around in my head like, oh, do you go a little bit small and maybe do like a Miles Kelly at the 3, Baker-Mazara at the 4, and a small ball stretch the floor type of lineup? But I'm not sure. Do you lean a specific way, Chaney at the 4 or a small ball?
I think the value of having Chaney Johnson in there, although you could also just say, well, you've got Johni Broome, but I think you do need one more guy who feels like, expectation from a rebounding standpoint. To me, that is like one of the things that, and not to say Baker-Mazara can't rebound either. I mean, he averaged 3.7 rebounds per game last year. Chaney Johnson averaged 3.4, but think about too, they also played a difference, a little bit of a difference in minutes too, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you look at his minutes last year, like it was kind of sporadic, but he did, even in the limited minutes he had, like he was pretty productive. And I think that's something where it happens each year. Then you just kind of say, okay, let's give him the opportunity to take that next step. So now how productive can you be if we give you 24 minutes a game or whatever versus 15 minutes, right? And he's he's older. The size element, I don't know. It's interesting. I would probably lean more towards the Chaney Johnson, Johni Broome, Baker-Mazara. It gives you more. It gives you more size, of course, but I just think that's probably the way you can do it. But like I said too, I'm also intrigued by the idea of you've got 3 guards there that all. I mean, if Pettiford just comes along, right, and he's like, we can't keep him off the floor, well then I think it's going to be hard to keep Denver Jones off the floor with the shooting ability. It's going to be hard to keep Pegues off. We talked about him. We love him. So like then you can start getting pretty creative, but. And then of course you've got Dylan Cardwell, potential first guy off the bench type thing, and so, or just give me the Hulkamania lineup. Give me Johni Broome and Dylan Cardwell as your 2 in the. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know how
with
much.
Broome's shot that he's developed, he can play that 4. I feel like.
if you want to go big, you can go big there. Then you can go Johnson off the, maybe first guys off the bench. Crazier things have happened.
Be interesting.
How many times do you remember them playing them a lot last year? I know Auburn fans were like, of course they did, or of course they didn't. I don't remember. Like, it all runs
They
together.
did. I do remember seeing it a little bit. But not much at all.
Yeah, not, as I say, it had to be very little.
Very little.
So, like you mentioned, it's really just you have to slot someone in with the Jalen Williams type role, and I think it makes the most sense to do Chaney Johnson there because they did do that quite a. I'm looking at sort of the frequent lineups last year on KenPom. So like 5.7%, they had a lineup of Holloway, Denver Jones, Baker-Mazara, Chaney Johnson, Broome. So you got 4 of those guys back, right? Then you just slot in your point guard. So, or that was 7.4%. So I think that's, to me, it just makes the most sense. So.
Yeah, I went back and looked at Chad Baker-Mazara's year at San Diego State, and then the year before that at Duquesne also. And at San Diego State, he backed up Matt Bradley at the 3. Didn't play anything else. And then at Duquesne, primarily the 3, a little bit of the 2. He hasn't been slid up there to that 4, and that makes sense. He's a little bit of a thinner frame for a 6'7" guy. So yeah, I think I would go the 2. The Denver Jones, Baker-Mazara, Chaney Johnson, Johni, Broome. For now, Pegues at point guard. But from what we've seen and what we've heard, I would not put it past a Tahaad Pettiford maybe mid-season slides into that point guard role either.
Yeah, I think we have to remember too, like there is again, we've seen and heard a lot of things about Pettiford. There's a lot to like, but I also don't think we can just look at JP Pegues as sort of just a normal trend. Like this guy averaged 18 points a game last year for Furman. Like he averaged 5 assists, 4 rebounds.
Yeah.
Like I think it's going to be impossible to keep this guy off the floor a lot. But again, I'm not there. I don't know. Maybe, again, we always say guys how they transition, but this guy is just man, he is a rock solid scorer. He also gives you something that I think as we look at this Auburn team, you need, and that's a 3-point shooter, like someone who can come out and knock down 3. So that's where but if Pettiford's is good, like if he's just fantastic and you're like, all right, maybe we got to just Denver Jones, JP Pegues, you two are just going to have, I don't know. So,
I think now, though, we can agree on that Pegues to start.
Yeah, I'll go with him. I think
you're
probably not bringing in a guy with that kind of averages to immediately start on the bench.
Yeah, I like it.
But, all right, so there you go. There are some options for the Auburn Tigers. Not that Bruce Pearl is seeking our advice in any way, shape, or form, but we are guessing the starting lineups here. That's why we're doing this here. He's doing it and getting paid a lot of money. So,